All right. I'm not supposed to have favorite flowers. I'm a perennial gardener, and so when I'm out there, I don't talk about such and such being my favorite because I don't want to offend any of the flowers. But I actually do have a favorite, and it happens to be this flower, which would be the mums. They're sort of the last bastion of courage at the end of the season. They'll just hang in there through the first frost and maybe even the second frost, and then finally they are done for the season. But the nice thing is that they come back up the next year. The next one is a minuet. I'm going to be playing on the silver flute again, called Mum's Minuet. And I like to picture this in my head. People of George Washington's time at a formal dance with their powdered wigs, and the ladies have the large skirts on and the men have their tails on the coats. So here is Mum's Minuet. Thank you. There are actually two pictures to go with this next song. First being the flower picture, and the second being this one, which is actually a picture of a little statue at my house that's about this big. Bleeding Heart, which I have in my yard for 2 years now, courtesy of a friend. That's the nice thing about perennials, is you can trade flowers with other people. And the Bleeding Heart song is going to be on that Native American flute, which is made out of cedar and crafted by a man who calls himself Coyote Old Man. He has a good site, coyoteoldman.com. He makes flutes that are in tune with keys, certain keys. Sometimes you'll have a Native American flute and it's just made by hand, and it's not in a key, so you can't play it with other instruments, but his are keyed, so that's a nice thing. Anybody know what we call this guy? Have you seen him before? Yes, he's everywhere. T-shirts, mugs. His name in modern times has been dubbed Coco Pele. Now, Coco Pele, we think, was an actual person because so many of the southeastern tribes of the United States have legends about him, and there are pictures of him on their caves and on rocks painted. So we think he was very real. And he's always pictured with two, well, actually three prominent things. A curved back, hair that goes like this, and then the flute. So we think he was a short, hunchback, crazy-haired flute player. So attractive. But he's known as the god of fertility, and there's two reasons for that. The first one is this. Coco Pele was sort of the Johnny Appleseed of the southwestern United States. Instead of apple trees, he brought the various tribes beans and corn for the first time. And so after he traveled to their tribe, they were able to plant the beans and corn, harvest them for a food source, save some seeds out for the next year, and they had a perpetual food source after that. So that's one reason he's called the god of fertility. The other reason is apparently he played such an amazing flute that he charmed all the young maidens in the tribe. So not only did he leave behind corn and beans, he also left behind babies. All right, and that's the second reason he's called the god of fertility. So here we are on Bleeding Heart. About 2/3 of the way through, you will hear a drum that comes in. That's a drum that we made in a class that we took. Up until that time, we did not have an appreciation for drums when you would see them at a craft fair or whatnot. They're always, we thought, way overpriced. Well, after you make a drum from the beginning, actually scraping off the rotting deer hide, getting the fur off, stretching it, all that stuff, it's a very smelly project. You gain an appreciation for the prices on drums after that. So that will be a drum coming in the middle of Bleeding Heart.